So first up, I'm really delighted to welcome Angeliki from Caretta Research, who is going to be talking to us about Inside Media's AI teams and market shifts. So I'm really excited about hearing from her and kind of giving us the data behind some of these conversations. So please give her a nice round of applause.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angeliki. I'm an analyst at Caretta Research. Thank you all for being here today. So at Caretta, we're constantly tracking changes within the media and entertainment market. So today I'll walk you through where the market is headed, AI's role in streamlining workflows, and how media companies are investing in AI talent to stay ahead. So we'll kick off by looking at the current media technology market. This is a market under pressure, and I'm sure conversations over the next few days will revolve around the challenges the industry is facing. And not all vendors are growing at the same pace. So understanding where growth is happening and why will give us very good insight into what buyers really value today. So if we look at the year-over-year revenue changes for media tech vendors from 2023 to 2024, the first impression is that most companies are technically growing. 77% of companies are seeing their revenues grow. But if we dig a little deeper, we see that only a few vendors are seeing real significant growth. Since the median gain is at 3.8%, which is fairly modest when inflation is considered, to put it into perspective, inflation in many markets is higher than 3.8%. So while technically vendors are growing revenues, they're actually losing ground. So what sets the vendors that are really growing apart? The short answer is they're aligned with what buyers really need. And I'll go into more detail in the next slides. First, reaching new audiences or delivering new types of content. Second, achieving operational efficiency. Teams need to be able to do more with less. And third, increasing engagement and retention. So let's start with the first priority. Viewer behavior is shifting. Consumption is spread across broadcast, streaming platforms, social media, short-form mobile apps. Content owners need a way to be able to address these audiences, to reach these audiences, and technologies that help them do that effectively are seeing rapid growth. So for example, automated clipping and highlights tools are growing at a 24% CAGR, which reflects their ability to deliver quick turnaround and connect to audiences who are used to short-form content. Likewise, fan engagement tools are growing at a 19% CAGR, as they're increasingly adopted by sports organizations to support their direct-to-consumer strategies. But addressing these audiences, reaching those audiences, is only a part of the challenge. The demand for more content puts pressure on teams to do more with fewer resources and to streamline operation, which is the second priority for vendors today, for buyers, sorry. So production asset management tools, solutions that effectively manage metadata and storage are seeing rapid growth as they enable companies to focus on what really matters, which is high-value creative tasks rather than repetitive, tedious work. And now, once you've streamlined your operations and you've reached your audience, then the next challenge is keeping them engaged. Viewers have endless options today. They can switch between platforms very easily. And this is why retention is becoming just as important as acquisition. This is where personalization technologies, solutions that focus on subscriber analytics to reduce churn, as well as seamless payment solutions come into play, as they allow companies to build loyal communities rather than grabbing just short-term attention. So having looked at the broader media market data, we can sum up the three priorities for buyers into three words: reach, efficiency, and engagement. Now, let's turn to one of the most discussed topics today, which is AI. and it's a technology that has enormous potential. And our research shows that most companies are eager to use it, but few of them are fully ready to do so. So to shed light on where companies stand, we conducted an industry survey a couple of months ago, and we found that there's a broad agreement among vendors and buyers on AI's significant impact on our industry. 58% of media tech buyers and 53% of media tech vendors think AI will have major impact in the industry, and they particularly recognize its role in streamlining workflows and operations. But when we look closer at where AI delivers the most value, the greatest value, there's a clear consensus that the focus is on efficiency. Its greatest value is not in flashy creative applications, but on cutting down repetitive work, cutting costs, and enhancing creativity. And that naturally raises the next question, which is how buyers want to deploy AI to achieve these benefits. And they are very clear about the way they want to deploy it. It's something that should be integrated into their standard tools. It should be a part of their standard tool set. They see it more as a feature rather than a product itself. That's why there is far less interest in AI-specific products from either established vendors or new suppliers. But now there's an irony here, because AI is often framed as a shortcut to automation, and it promises so much for automation and efficiency, yet buyers report that their main barrier to adopt AI technology is the lack of AI expertise within their organization. So while ethical challenges and costs are also important factors, but their main challenge is to have the right AI expertise in-house to be able to leverage AI. And vendors themselves are immune to this skill shortage. They are also worried about lacking AI expertise to leverage AI's full potential. And interestingly enough, use cases are not a major concern for either vendors or buyers. They are not worrying about finding compelling use cases to implement AI. They both know where it could help. Their challenge is to have the right approach and the talent to put it into practice. So we're at the point where vendors want to use AI, buyers want to use AI, but the skills gap is slowing everyone down, which brings us to the third part of our story, which is how the media industry is beginning to build AI talent internally. And spoiler alert, we're still at the very early stages of this process. So at Careta Research, we analyzed millions of individual job profiles across the industry, along with a wide range of other industries, to understand AI's impact on jobs. And we found that hundreds of new specialist jobs are currently being created to unlock AI's potential. And these roles cover a wide spectrum of specialisms, from applied machine learning to natural language processing to intelligent agents. We're seeing people specializing in generative AI to produce new forms of content, machine learning to improve monetization. But the real question is how many organizations are actually building those skills and at what scale. Our data shows that broadcast and media companies, what we call media tech buyers, are taking this seriously. 62% of media tech buyers have at least one AI specialist role in place. On the vendor side, though, only 19% of vendors have any AI specialists, which puts them at risk of falling behind and missing the chance to simplify AI adoption for buyers without requiring heavy investment in skills or infrastructure. But still, when we compare them to the average of vendors across other industries, in non-media industries, they're still ahead. While AI specialists globally make up just about 1.5% of total headcount, Media technology vendors have nearly 3 times that share, with AI specialists accounting for 4% of their workforce. And this is for companies that at least employ one AI specialist. And although this sounds promising, the reality is that AI teams are still very small in the industry. Almost 40% of media tech vendors employing any AI specialist have just one of them. And on average, media tech vendors have 7 AI specialists in place, which tells us that while the industry has strong interest in exploring AI's potential, only a few companies are fully scaling those capabilities. But even with small teams, the impact on media workflows is already being felt. We can see that routine busy work is being automated. Repetitive tasks like ad break segmentation are being automated by AI, freeing staff to focus on higher value creative work. At the same time, creative teams are able to produce more content faster through the use of AI tools. So a creative task like producing visual effects is becoming easier and faster. And we can also see new roles emerging in reviewing routine tasks. Greater workflow automation increases the need for human oversight. This is why we expect more roles in reviewing these automated processes, as errors in automated processes can escalate very quickly. And now I want to connect this back to the 3 priorities we discussed earlier, which were efficiency, reach, and engagement. And I think AI's adoption aligns directly with these priorities, and especially more efficiency. So let's bring it all together to 3 essential insights. Addressing buyers' key needs is essential to vendor success, and this equally applies to AI adoption. Most AI teams in our industry are still very small. Most companies are still just testing the waters when it comes to AI. But these teams are focusing on practical things like automating routine tasks, cutting down costs, and boosting creativity. And lastly, and this is where the opportunity lies for vendors, media tech buyers, broadcast and media companies are very keen to use AI to explore AI's potential, but they don't necessarily want to build massive AI teams or develop deep technical knowledge. And this is where the opportunity lies for vendors, as they can help them simplify their AI adoption without investing heavily in skills or infrastructure. But right now, we're seeing only a few vendors investing enough to seize that opportunity, which leaves the door left for others. So AI is today's reality, and the question is who will lead and who will fall behind. Thank you. If you want to download the full presentation, you can use the QR code here. Thank you for your attention.